Very welcome to Erik Penser Bank. Today I have the privilege to interview Robert DeLuca, President of Orexo US. Very welcome, Robert.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, very nice to have you here. And I gave a very, very brief introduction of you, but maybe you can just present yourself a little bit further.
Sure. As you said, my name is Robert DeLuca. I've had the pleasure of being the president of Orexo US since June of 2013. Prior to that, I've spent over 35 years in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm a pharmacist by education, and I got introduced to the pharmaceutical industry, as many people do in the US, as a sales representative, and I moved through various different positions: sales management, sales and marketing management, up through market access, leadership at big and small companies. And I've really found a home for the last decade at Orexo, because we have a very special mission in our company, which is focusing on addictions and mental health disorders. So it's really been a culmination of a great career to spend the last decade at Orexo.
And how does your team in the US look like today, if it's possible to describe it a little bit?
Well, you know, the women and men of Orexo US, along with those here in Sweden at Orexo AB, are the heart and soul of the company. Right? They are the reason for us being who we are today, and as importantly, who we're going to be tomorrow. And the future is very exciting at Orexo, I think. With what we're doing today and with the new products that we'll be introducing, it's going to be an exciting future. But the company in the U.S. is over 70 people. We have our home office staff of great people, right? That's the management of the company sits there, medical or clinical teams sit there in Orexo US, our market access, marketing, sales functions, and training functions run out of the U.S. And then, of course, we have those great women and men who interface with the physicians and other healthcare providers and pharmacists who are on the front lines of treating opioid use disorder and are out there marketing and selling Zubsolv to these healthcare providers.
As you mentioned, you have been around for 10 years now with Zubsolv, and that's the main purpose of Zubsolv, is to help treating people with opioid addiction or opioid addiction disease. But could you characterize the market, how it looks like today, perhaps the opioid addiction crisis in the US?
Well, unfortunately, the crisis continues to be an epidemic and continues to be a problem, right? The number of people who are dependent on opioids is over 2 million, and that's reported. We've seen over 100,000 opioid deaths again. We saw a little bit of it coming down before COVID, but then it has spiked back up to over 100,000 deaths from addiction overall. 75 to 80% of those are due to opioids, and fentanyl's probably the core driver of most all of that, is what we're seeing today. So there's an awful lot of work that needs to be done in the U.S. And Zubsolv still continues to contribute and help people get their cravings and their life back under control. It's very rewarding work.
And during your years, much has happened to this market, and the prescription of buprenorphine has increased quite a lot, but it still seems like a lot of patients is not able to get proper treatment. Do you see anything improvements in that case? Or
I think the issue with more patients not getting treatment is a multifaceted issue that we have to deal with. I think first is the number of healthcare providers that are available to treat these patient populations, right? We know that based on our data and information, there's been an increase this year because of new legislation that got rid of the patient caps and expanded the number of physicians or how physicians could treat. They didn't have to go through special learnings or other types of qualifications to get into treatment, though that dynamic is continuing to evolve also. So we have seen more, based on our data, treating opioid use disorder with buprenorphine. However, those that are actively treating and have practices that are, you know, a large portion of it or all of it is dedicated to opioid use disorder is still over 75% of the overall market for buprenorphine, naloxone type products. So we've really got to see more physicians taking an active role. Another issue, because I said it was multifaceted, is geographical, right? Do the patients have the ability to get to physicians and or the other healthcare providers that are providing treatment? One of the things that they're trying to do to address that is bringing treatment to these patients. But we need to see more involvement from the healthcare community in treating opioid use disorder and all addictions, to be honest with you. But also we need to make sure that the care is available to the patients where they are. You might think that it's available across the entire United States, but as you think about the US and how big it is and where the problems occur with opioid use disorder, where those heavy pockets are, there's not a lot of overall healthcare availability in those areas, no less physicians available who are ready and capable and want to treat opioid use disorder. So it's a multifaceted problem, but steps are being taken in the right direction, but we have a long way to go.
Yeah, understand it. You mentioned this legislation that came in place earlier this year, and you touched upon the effects so far. But what, looking into sort of a 2024 or going forward, do you see this new legislation have an effect on the numbers of patients getting treatment, or do we need to see other initiatives to really get this going?
Well, I think that was one large step in the right direction, but more does need to be done, right? We need to make sure that the incentives are there for those healthcare providers who want to treat this population. We have to make sure that the incentives are there for others who are involved in the care of these patients.
Of course.
That they have the incentives to want them and motivate them to reach more patients, to attract new people into this marketplace. That's really one of the things, and probably the major thing I see as having to happen, is we really need to make the incentives more generous for those who are there and treating this patient population.
I would like to jump to the depot formulations, just out of interest. Where do you see, what kind of patient is using them, and where do you see they're coming into this marketplace?
Yeah, I think it's important that I put into context, as you're aware, Zubsolv is a sublingual tablet. And the sublingual market is the dominant market as far as prescription volume is concerned. So that's where we spend most of our time focused and study, right? That is where we compete in the sublingual market. However, the injectable market that you're talking about, the long-acting market, does have some unique dynamism. There was one product that's available now for about 3+ years, monthly injection. A new product, weekly and monthly, has just recently been introduced into the US market. There has been some minor movement of volume from the sublingual market to the injectable market, but overall it's small compared to it. Some physicians are actively beginning to prescribe more injectable products, but that's just natural with the overall treatment paradigm associated with this patient population. These are good new products, and they do have a role. But what we're seeing right now is the dominance in the market remains, and probably will continue to remain for quite some period of time, the sublingual products.
So you say they're more of a helping to drive demand than cannibalizing on the tablets.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think that they cannibalized a little bit of it, right? Maybe 3 to 4%, maybe. And you're seeing some new patients come in, but really most are being started on the sublingual tablets. That's where physicians and other healthcare providers who prescribe and treat this population are starting with.
Okay. Orexo has OX124, also a drug in the addiction space that is now in sort of a regulatory filing to the FDA, and hopefully it could get approved next summer. I just wonder, how well does this product fit into your sales organization?
Well, I think that's a great question. First of all, I want to say congratulations to the team in Sweden for getting that file in, and the folks in the U.S. who helped out. A great job. We appreciate that. We look forward. We're very excited about introducing OX124. The file has been accepted by the FDA. I think the announcement was just this week. We're expecting approval sometime in Q3 of next year. And we will now become, with the acceptance of the file, right, we've been learning about the market. Now we're going to become students of the market and really understand what the market is. There is some new dynamism in the market, right? We've seen the major brand in that market go OTC, so that's going to have an interesting impact on expansion of product availability in pharmacies across the country and other areas that may sell it. We know that we're going to bring this higher dose powder formulation to market that we're very excited about. It's unique. We're looking forward to getting the label from the FDA after approval and really positioning this product effectively so we know where to launch it and then how to expand the opportunity for OX124 after we launch it.
And the current sales force, I mean, do they meet the same kind of customers, or do you need to remodel it?
It's a great question, and that market is, there is similarities with the Zubsolv market, and we see that as the backbone, right? I mean, educating these physicians and other healthcare providers and pharmacists and others, counselors who are involved in the day-to-day care of these patients, getting them to understand and recognize that there is a new rescue medication available for this patient population, I think is incredibly important, and I think we are incredibly well positioned based on our last decade of experience to bring that market, that product to market, excuse me. But also there are multiple other markets in the naloxone and the opioid rescue market that we have identified and that we will be looking to take our product to and selling our product into. So we're well positioned in the opioid use disorder market with those who are treating and prescribing Zubsolv and the other buprenorphine naloxone products, and we see other opportunities in the other channels that are available to rescue markets today. And I think OX124 fits nicely in many of these channels, and we will, as I said, do a lot of studying over the next 12 months as we get ready for introduction into the marketplace. We're very excited about it.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to follow the launch, hopefully. And I just want to sum it up a little bit, looking back at 2023, is there anything that was really challenging that you would like to highlight?
Well, I think challenging, the marketplace continues to be challenging, right? I mean, we know that there's a lot of generics in the marketplace today, right? But Zubsolv has a very important place in this marketplace, and it has some advantages over the other products in the marketplace that physicians and patients do prefer. And we will continue to carve out our niche as we move forward with Zubsolv in this marketplace. It wasn't so much challenging, I think, as it was unique in that we're in our 10th year with this product. And when I look at our team, they continue to stay motivated. You would actually think that they would be bored after 10 years with Zubsolv, but I don't see that. I see people who are excited to get up and face their customers every day and do their jobs every day. I mean, that's really the spirit of the entire Orexo organization in the U.S. and here in Sweden. I had the privilege of being with my colleagues in Uppsala this morning. And the energy is high at our company, right? We've got Zubsolv, we're proud of it, we continue to stay proud of it. We're going to be introducing OX124 with FDA approval, you know, late next year. We're looking forward to learning about that. We have our digital portfolio. We've got Modia, which fits nicely. It's just new and finding its way in the marketplace, as all digital therapeutics are. So if you take a look at the offerings that Orexo is bringing to the marketplace, 23 had its challenges, but the challenges were positioning ourselves for what's going to happen in 24 and 25. So I think the challenges are actually opportunities, and we're pretty excited about getting started.
And those opportunities in 2024, excluding the launch of OX124, could be, do you see kind of opportunities in the buprenorphine market perhaps?
I mean, how can there not be opportunities? We talked about the size of this, right? The magnitude of the problem that we have in the United States, right?
Yes.
And addressing those with our offerings provide opportunity for the future, right? And so there are challenges, right? I talked about it's a highly genericized marketplace, the buprenorphine naloxone market overall. But there are new patients coming in. Our product fits well into the marketplace. I'm talking about Zubsolv specifically. Modia, with the problems and with the lack of counselors available, has a role as a support program for these patients. And, you know, as I said, with the approval of OX124, you know, it's going to be a more exciting year, and I'll use your words, it'll be a more challenging year, because we're going to have to work harder, because we're going to have more assets that we're going to need to commercialize in the U.S. marketplace. So we take those challenges and we'll turn them into opportunities and have some fun with them.
Robert DeLuca, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for listening in.